April 23, 2019, 6:47 p.m. A young Filipina woman steps out of her apartment building in Dubai's international city wearing a yellow sundress that catches the evening light. She's 3 months pregnant, carrying a secret that could destroy a powerful man's empire. Tonight she's meeting her wealthy boyfriend to demand what she believes she deserves: marriage, legitimacy, protection for her unborn child. He's told her to come alone. As she slides into the black Range Rover waiting at the curb, her roommate watches from the window above, a knot tightening in her stomach. Would Maria Santos ever be seen again? You are about to find out. Welcome to True Crime Journal HQ. Thanks to all our viewers and subscribers for your support. Stay with us for daily update on the most shocking true crime stories. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Before we start, if you want to learn how to protect yourself from potential danger, then download your free ebook titled Safety for Women Over 40: Everyday Habits to Outsmart Criminals by clicking the link in the pinned comment. Maria Santos was born on March 15, 1991, in Tondo, Manila, one of the most densely populated neighborhoods in the Philippines, where corrugated metal roofs stretched endlessly and families lived on top of each other in cramped quarters. She was the third of 5 children in a household that ran on faith, sacrifice, and her parents' relentless work ethic. Her father, Rodrigo, drove a colorful jeepney through Manila's chaotic streets, navigating traffic for 12 hours a day to earn just enough to feed his family. Her mother, Luz, sold vegetables at the local palenque, her hands calloused from years of handling produce under the scorching sun. Money was always tight. Some nights, Maria and her siblings ate rice with soy sauce because there was nothing else. But Maria was different. While her classmates played in the narrow alleyways after school, she stayed inside, studying by candlelight during power outages. Her teachers noticed her determination. She consistently ranked at the top of her class, despite having textbooks held together with tape and wearing the same worn uniform every day. Maria had a dream that burned brighter than the poverty surrounding her. She would lift her family out of Tondo. She would give them a better life. In 2014, Maria graduated with a degree in hospitality management from a modest college in Manila. It wasn't a prestigious institution, but she'd worked harder than anyone else, juggling part-time jobs at fast food chains to pay her tuition, while her parents scraped together what they could. After graduation, she landed positions at small hotels in Makati and Quezon City, serving foreign tourists and business travelers who spent more on a single meal than her family earned in a week. But Maria wanted more. By 2015, she'd set her sights on the Middle East, specifically Dubai, the city of gold, where Filipinos sent billions of dirhams back home every year. She'd heard the stories from returning OFWs in her neighborhood, the tall buildings, the tax-free salaries, the opportunity to save actual money instead of living paycheck to paycheck. She applied to dozens of hotels, endured multiple interviews via Skype, and finally, in early 2016, received the email that changed everything: a job offer from a 5-star hotel in Dubai Marina as a guest relations coordinator. Her family gathered around her that evening, crying and praying together. Maria was going to be their ticket out of poverty. She promised she wouldn't let them down. Maria arrived in Dubai in March 2016, her heart pounding as the plane descended over the Persian Gulf. The city looked like something from a sci-fi movie. Glass towers piercing the sky, palm-shaped islands visible from above, wealth on a scale she'd never comprehended. But reality hit quickly. She shared a cramped 2-bedroom flat in International City with 3 other Filipina workers: Rosa, a nurse; Joyce, a retail associate; and Lena, a salon receptionist. Their building was far from the marina's luxury, surrounded by labor accommodations housing thousands of South Asian and Southeast Asian workers. The apartment's walls were thin, the air conditioning barely worked, and 4 women navigated one small bathroom every morning. Maria worked long shifts at the hotel, standing for hours in heels, smiling through exhaustion, assisting wealthy guests who sometimes barely acknowledged her existence. Every month, she sent 2,000 dirhams home, nearly half her salary. Her family depended on it for rent, her younger siblings' school fees, her father's medical expenses. Yet Maria never complained. Colleagues loved her warmth and genuine care for guests. Every Friday, her day off, she attended Mass at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Oud-Metha, praying for her family and thanking God for opportunities. She believed this sacrifice would be worth it. Have you or someone you know ever left everything behind for a better opportunity abroad? Drop your location in the comments. In late 2017, Khalid al-Rashid became a regular at the Marina Hotel. At 52, he carried himself with the confidence of old money, designer suits, gold Rolex, always booking the executive suites. Maria handled his check-ins, arranged his restaurant reservations, ensured his stays were flawless. He noticed her immediately. Khalid started requesting her specifically, leaving generous tips, asking about her life in Dubai. Within weeks, he invited her to dinner at Pirchik, the overwater restaurant where meals cost more than her monthly rent. Maria hesitated. Hotel policy discouraged fraternizing with guests, but he was persistent and charming. He made her feel seen in a way she hadn't experienced since leaving Manila. More dates followed. Atmosphere on the 122nd floor of Burj Khalifa. Private beach clubs in Jumeirah. He showered her with gifts, perfume, jewelry, designer handbags. For a girl from Tondo who'd never owned anything expensive, Khalid's attention felt like a fairy tale coming true. Maria kept the relationship completely private. She had her reasons. First, the hotel's strict policies. Staff relationships with guests meant immediate termination, and she couldn't risk losing her job. Second, the cultural stigma. A Filipina Catholic dating a Muslim Emirati man, 24 years her senior, would raise eyebrows in both communities. Third, her family back home wouldn't understand. They'd worry, ask questions she wasn't ready to answer. Rosa, her roommate, noticed the changes first. Maria staying out late on weeknights, expensive perfume she couldn't afford on her salary, new clothes hanging in their shared closet. When Rosa asked, Maria brushed it off. Just some extra shifts and good tips. But Rosa wasn't convinced. The weekend getaways started in early 2018. Maria would tell Rosa she was visiting friends in Sharjah, but Rosa saw the luxury resort booking confirmations on Maria's phone. Ras Al Khaimah beachfront properties, desert resorts in Al Ain. Maria was falling hard. She talked about Khalid constantly when they were alone in the apartment. His generosity, his promises of a better future, the luxury apartment he'd mentioned getting for her in Dubai Marina. By mid-2018, Maria believed Khalid would propose. She'd dropped hints about marriage, about her traditional values, about wanting a family someday. He'd smile and say, "Soon, Habibi, soon." But the proposal never came. Still, Maria held on to hope. She'd invested too much, emotionally, physically, spiritually, to walk away now. Khalid had become her second dream, right after lifting her family from poverty. The red flags appeared gradually, like cracks forming in glass. Khalid would receive phone calls at odd hours, midnight, 3 in the morning, and immediately leave whatever room Maria was in to take them privately. His tone would shift, becoming sharp and aggressive in rapid Arabic she couldn't fully understand. When she asked about these calls, he'd wave dismissively, "Business, nothing to concern yourself with." Then there were the men. Cold-eyed individuals who'd visit Khalid's apartment when Maria was there, speaking in hushed tones, carrying briefcases and large duffel bags. They never smiled, never acknowledged her. Khalid would usher her into the bedroom during these visits, telling her to stay quiet. The meetings sometimes lasted hours. Rosa noticed Maria becoming anxious by late 2018. She'd jump at sudden sounds, check her phone obsessively, seem distracted during their conversations. One night, Maria confided something troubling. She'd found documents in Khalid's car, shipping manifests, warehouse addresses in Jebel Ali, names of companies she'd never heard him mention. The numbers didn't make sense for a property investor. There were too many shipments, too many coded references. When Maria confronted him, Khalid's charm evaporated. He grabbed her wrist, not violently but firmly, and told her to never go through his things again. His eyes held a warning she'd never seen before. That night, Maria realized the luxury, the gifts, the promises, all of it was built on something dark. Khalid wasn't just a successful businessman, he was involved in something illegal, something dangerous. But Maria was about to discover something that would change everything, something that would make leaving impossible. January 2019 started with morning sickness that Maria initially blamed on bad shawarma from a street vendor near International City. But when the nausea continued for a week, accompanied by exhaustion and missed period, reality crashed down on her. She bought a pregnancy test from a pharmacy in Dragonmart, her hands trembling as she waited in the apartment bathroom while Rosa was at work. 2 pink lines, pregnant. Maria sat on the bathroom floor, emotions colliding, joy, terror, confusion. She'd always wanted children, dreamed of being a mother, but not like this. Not unmarried, not with a man whose business dealings terrified her, not in a country where having a child outside wedlock carried serious legal and social consequences. When Rosa came home that evening, Maria broke down. Between sobs, she confessed everything: Khalid, the pregnancy, her fear. Rosa held her, but her face showed concern that went beyond sympathy. This wasn't just complicated, this was dangerous. Maria waited 3 days before telling Khalid, rehearsing the conversation in her head repeatedly. She met him at his apartment in Dubai Marina, her heart racing as she delivered the news. For a moment, he just stared at her, processing. Then his expression shifted, shock morphing into something harder. "This is not the right time, Maria." His voice was flat, empty of the warmth she'd grown accustomed to. "My business situation is complicated right now. This complicates things further." He suggested carefully but unmistakably that she take care of it. Find a clinic, handle the situation discreetly. He'd pay for everything, of course, give her extra money for recovery time. Maria felt physically ill. Her Catholic upbringing, her values, everything she believed in, recoiled at the suggestion. Abortion wasn't an option. It would never be an option. She told him so, her voice steady despite her shaking hands. Khalid's demeanor changed completely after that conversation. The affectionate calls stopped. He became distant, meeting her only when she insisted, his responses to her messages curt and delayed. The man who'd once made her feel like a princess now treated her like a problem to be managed. Maria felt the ground shifting beneath her feet, but she refused to disappear quietly. By February, Maria's determination hardened into resolve. She would have this baby. With or without Khalid's support, this child would be born. But she also recognized her position. She knew too much about Khalid's operations, had seen things she wasn't supposed to see, could connect dots that would interest authorities. She had leverage. Maria started sending WhatsApp messages that grew increasingly direct. She deserved respect. She deserved marriage. Their child deserved legitimacy and a father's name. She reminded him, subtly at first, then explicitly, that she'd been present during conversations she shouldn't have heard, had seen documents she shouldn't have seen. Her messages accumulated, unanswered or dismissed. Khalid's responses, when they came, were evasive. "We'll discuss this later." "Not now." "You're being emotional." But Maria wouldn't back down. She'd sacrificed too much, her morals, her safety, her peace, to be discarded like she meant nothing. If Khalid thought she'd simply disappear, he was wrong. What would you do if you were in Maria's position? Stay silent or demand what you deserve? Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. Dubai police would later recover Maria's phone records, and the WhatsApp exchanges painted a disturbing picture of escalation. In February, her messages to Khalid were pleading, almost apologetic. "I just want us to be a family. Is that too much to ask?" By March, her tone shifted to frustration. "You can't ignore this. I'm 3 months now. People will notice soon." Then came the messages that likely sealed her fate. On March 28th, Maria wrote, I know what I know about your business, Khalid. I've stayed quiet, but I need you to do right by me and our baby. Another message 2 days later. Those warehouses in Jebel Ali. Those shipments. I'm not stupid. Marry me, or I walk away. And maybe I talk to someone who'd be interested in what I've seen. Khalid's responses grew colder, more threatening. You're playing a dangerous game, Maria. Think carefully about what you're saying. Some things are better left alone. Maria's sister Carmen noticed the change during their video calls. Maria seemed jumpy, looking over her shoulder, her smiles forced. When Carmen asked if everything was okay, Maria would deflect, just tired from work. But Carmen knew her sister. Something was terribly wrong. Late one night in early April, Maria finally told Rosa everything. They sat on their cramped apartment's balcony, overlooking the identical labor buildings of International City, and Maria confessed what she'd pieced together. Khalid was smuggling contraband through Dubai's ports, counterfeit luxury goods, restricted pharmaceuticals, maybe worse. She'd seen shipping manifests with falsified customs declarations, heard him on calls coordinating deliveries with men who clearly weren't legitimate business partners. Rosa begged her to go to the authorities, or at least leave Dubai immediately. But Maria shook her head, one hand resting protectively on her barely visible belly. He wouldn't hurt me now. Not while I'm carrying his child. What kind of man would do that? Rosa wanted to believe her friend was right, but the men she'd glimpsed visiting Khalid's apartment, the ones with dead eyes and cold faces, didn't seem like men constrained by morality or paternal instinct. The week of April 15th brought new pressure. Khalid called Maria with a proposal. Return to the Philippines temporarily. Have the baby there. He'd send money, visit when he could. They'd figure things out once his business complications settled. It was reasonable, he insisted. Safer for everyone. Maria refused outright. She knew what temporary meant, permanent abandonment. She'd disappear into Manila's crowded streets, another single mother struggling alone, while Khalid continued his illegal empire without consequence. No, she would stay in Dubai. She would force him to acknowledge his responsibility. At work, Maria's colleagues noticed she seemed distracted, making unusual mistakes with guest requests. Her hotel manager pulled her aside, asking if personal issues were affecting her performance. Maria assured her everything was fine, but her eyes told a different story. On April 22nd, Maria video-called her mother in Manila. Luz Santos would replay that conversation in her mind thousands of times afterward, searching for signs she'd missed. Before ending the call, Maria said something that would haunt her mother forever. "Mama, pray for me. I'm meeting Khalid tomorrow night to settle everything. One way or another, this ends tomorrow." April 23rd, 2019, would be the last day anyone saw Maria Santos alive. April 23rd started like any other Tuesday. Maria worked her morning shift at the hotel, checking in guests, coordinating spa appointments, maintaining the professional smile she'd perfected over 3 years. She left work at 4 p.m., taking the metro back to International City as usual. Rosa was already home when Maria arrived around 5:15 p.m. She immediately noticed something different about her roommate. Maria seemed focused, almost resolute. There was no fear in her eyes, just determination. She showered quickly, then stood in front of their shared closet for several minutes, before pulling out the yellow sundress, her favorite, a gift from her mother before she'd left Manila. Luz had saved for months to buy it. Maria applied makeup carefully, more than usual. Red lipstick, mascara. She checked her reflection multiple times, adjusting her hair. Rosa asked where she was going. To meet Khalid, to end this. Her voice was steady. At 6:30 p.m., Maria's phone rang. She glanced at the screen, Khalid, and stepped into the bedroom to take the call. Rosa heard muffled conversation, couldn't make out the words. When Maria emerged 5 minutes later, she grabbed her favorite handbag, the brown leather one Khalid had given her months ago. "Pray for me, Rosa." Then she walked out the door. Security footage from the apartment building's entrance captured what happened next. At exactly 6:47 p.m., Maria Santos walked through the lobby doors into the warm Dubai evening. She paused briefly on the sidewalk, checking her phone one last time. A black Range Rover sat idling at the curb, engine running. The vehicle's windows were tinted, too dark to see inside. Maria walked toward it without hesitation, opened the rear passenger door and climbed in. The door closed. 5 seconds later, the Range Rover pulled away from the curb, heading toward the main road that connected to Sheikh Zayed Road. Rosa watched from their fourth-floor window, that uncomfortable feeling intensifying in her chest. She tried to see the license plate, but something was wrong. The camera footage would later show a convenient smudge obscuring the numbers, as if someone had deliberately smeared the lens. The Range Rover turned left and disappeared into Dubai's evening traffic. Maria was gone. Rosa expected Maria back by 10 p.m., maybe 11 if the conversation ran long. By midnight, she started calling. Every call went straight to voicemail. Maria's phone was off, or destroyed. At 2 a.m., Rosa couldn't sleep. She called again. Nothing. She messaged Maria's Facebook, WhatsApp, everything. No response. No read receipts. Complete silence. By 7 a.m. on April 24th, panic set in. Rosa called Maria's family in Manila. Luz Santos hadn't heard from her daughter since yesterday's video call. Rosa called the hotel. Maria hadn't shown up for her morning shift, hadn't called in sick. That wasn't like her. Maria never missed work. At 9:30 a.m., Rosa walked into the nearest police station in International City. Her hands shook as she filed the missing person report. "My roommate went to meet someone last night. She never came home. I think something terrible has happened." Have you ever had a gut feeling that something was terribly wrong? That instinct could save a life. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with, "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. Dubai police took Rosa's missing person report seriously. Filipino nationals represented one of the largest expatriate communities in the UAE, and cases involving OFWs received prompt attention. Detective Yusuf Al-Mansouri was assigned to Maria's case within hours. The investigation moved quickly. Police obtained Maria's phone records. Her device's last ping came from a cell tower near Jebel Ali Industrial Area at 7:23 p.m. on April 23rd, then went completely dark. The location was troubling. Jebel Ali housed Dubai's massive port, countless warehouses, and stretches of industrial wasteland where something, or someone, could vanish without trace. Immigration checks revealed no departure record. Maria Santos had not left the UAE through any official airport, seaport, or land border crossing. Her passport remained in her apartment, locked in the drawer beside her bed. She hadn't planned to leave the country. Police froze her bank account to monitor activity. The last transaction, a small purchase at a Dragon Mart pharmacy on April 20th, prenatal vitamins. After April 23rd, nothing. No ATM withdrawals, no card payments, no transfers. Her salary from the hotel, deposited on April 25th, sat untouched. For someone who regularly sent money to family in Manila, this complete financial silence was damning evidence. Maria Santos hadn't simply disappeared. Something had happened to her. Rosa provided investigators with everything she knew: Khalid's first name, his vehicle description, the fact that he stayed regularly at Maria's hotel. Within 24 hours, police had identified him. Khalid bin Abdullah al-Rashid, 52, Emirati national, registered address in Jumeirah, multiple business licenses for import-export companies. Detective Al-Mansouri and his team showed up at Khalid's Dubai Marina apartment on April 26th. Khalid cooperated initially, inviting them inside, offering coffee. He claimed Maria had decided to return to the Philippines voluntarily. Yes, they'd been seeing each other. Yes, she was pregnant. But she'd wanted to have the baby back home with her family. He'd given her money for the trip. She'd left peacefully. It was a smooth performance. Khalid seemed calm, concerned even, asking if Maria was all right. His expensive lawyers arrived within the hour, clearly on retainer and ready to deploy. But Detective Al-Mansouri made a call to colleagues in the Organized Crime Division and learned something crucial. Khalid al-Rashid was already under active surveillance. For the past 8 months, authorities had been building a case against him for suspected involvement in smuggling operations. Maria Santos hadn't just disappeared after meeting her boyfriend. She'd vanished after confronting a man being investigated for international criminal activity. With Maria's disappearance providing probable cause, Dubai police accelerated their smuggling investigation. On May 2nd, coordinated raids hit 5 properties connected to Khalid, his marina apartment, a villa in Arabian Ranches, and 3 warehouses in Jebel Ali industrial area. What they found confirmed suspicions. The warehouses contained millions of dirhams worth of counterfeit luxury goods, fake Rolex watches, Louis Vuitton bags, Gucci accessories, all packaged to look authentic. Another warehouse held restricted pharmaceuticals, imported without proper licensing, prescription medications, performance enhancers, controlled substances destined for black market distribution across the Gulf region. Financial records revealed connections to smuggling networks in China, India, and Eastern Europe. Khalid wasn't a small-time operator. He coordinated shipping container loads of contraband through Dubai's massive port, using falsified customs declarations and bribed port officials. The operation generated millions annually. Police arrested Khalid along with 7 associates, logistics coordinators, warehouse managers, customs officials on his payroll. During interrogations, investigators asked repeatedly about Maria Santos. Where was she? What happened on April 23rd? Every single person lawyered up immediately, refusing to answer questions about the missing Filipina woman. The realization hit Detective Al-Mansouri like ice water. Maria had known about this operation. She'd seen the warehouses, the shipping manifests, heard conversations she shouldn't have heard. She'd threatened Khalid with exposure. In the criminal underworld, that kind of knowledge made someone a liability. Operations worth millions of dirhams couldn't risk exposure by a pregnant girlfriend demanding legitimacy and threatening to talk. But where was Maria? And more chilling, was she still alive? Dubai police organized extensive search operations in the desert areas surrounding Jebel Ali, where Maria's phone had last pinged. The Arabian desert is unforgiving. Endless sand dunes, rocky wadis, abandoned construction sites, and remote areas where evidence disappears beneath shifting sands within days. Search teams with cadaver dogs combed through locations connected to Khalid's businesses, undeveloped land plots he owned near Al Ain, desert areas his associates had been seen visiting, construction sites where his companies had contracts. Helicopters surveyed vast stretches from above. Volunteer groups from the Filipino community joined police, walking grid patterns through barren landscapes in scorching heat. They found nothing. No clothing, no phone, no body, no trace of Maria Santos. The desert had swallowed countless secrets over centuries. Smugglers knew this, used this. If Maria had been taken to the desert, her remains could be anywhere within thousands of square kilometers, or they'd been disposed of another way entirely. Dubai's coastline and the Persian Gulf offered other grim possibilities that searchers didn't want to voice aloud. Detective Al-Mansouri interrogated Khalid's 7 arrested associates individually, hoping someone would crack. Each interrogation followed the same frustrating pattern. Ahmed, the logistics coordinator, claimed he'd never met Maria, didn't know Khalid's personal life, only handled shipping paperwork. His lawyer objected to every question about April 23rd. Hassan, the warehouse manager, insisted he worked normal business hours, left by 5 p.m. daily, had no knowledge of any woman. His alibi, dinner with family, was confirmed by relatives who seemed suspiciously rehearsed. The others maintained similar walls of silence. Either they genuinely didn't know what happened to Maria, or they'd been instructed to stay quiet. In criminal organizations, loyalty was enforced through fear. Speaking to police meant consequences far worse than prison time. 2 associates had been in Jebel Ali the night of April 23rd. Both claimed they were conducting inventory checks alone in different warehouses. No witnesses, no security footage. Conveniently, cameras in those facilities had malfunctioned that evening. The investigation hit concrete walls everywhere. On May 10th, Maria's mother, Luz, and two sisters, Carmen and Grace, flew from Manila to Dubai. The Philippine consulate assisted with their visas and accommodations. Luz had sold family possessions to afford the tickets, desperate to find her daughter. Their arrival was heartbreaking. They visited St. Mary's Catholic Church in Odmetha, where Maria had attended Mass every Friday, and organized prayer vigils. The Filipino community rallied. Hundreds of expatriates attended, lighting candles, singing hymns, holding photos of Maria's smiling face. But as days turned to weeks with no developments, hope faded. Luz's daily question to Detective Al-Mansouri, "Any news?" became increasingly desperate, her voice breaking with each inquiry. The Filipino community in Dubai came together. Have you witnessed the power of community during tragedy? Share your experience. On May 8, 2019, formal charges were filed against Khalid bin Abdullah al-Rashid in Dubai Criminal Court. The indictment was extensive: smuggling contraband goods across international borders, conspiracy to defraud customs authorities, operating an illegal import network, money laundering through shell companies, and bribing government officials. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence: financial records tracing millions of dirhams through offshore accounts, testimony from cooperating customs officials, forensic analysis of falsified shipping documents, and physical evidence from the warehouse raids. But conspicuously absent from the charges was anything related to Maria Santos. Despite Detective Al-Mansouri's efforts, prosecutors concluded there wasn't sufficient evidence to file murder or kidnapping charges. No body, no witnesses to violence, no forensic evidence linking Khalid directly to her disappearance. Under UAE law, circumstantial evidence alone, suspicious timing, motive, opportunity, wasn't enough to charge someone with murder without concrete proof. The legal reality was frustrating but unavoidable. Khalid would face justice for his smuggling empire, but not for what likely happened to Maria. Throughout the trial proceedings that summer, Khalid maintained his version of events with unsettling consistency. Maria had left Dubai voluntarily, he insisted from the witness stand. She'd decided to return home to have the baby surrounded by family. He'd supported her decision, given her money for travel expenses and prenatal care. Their relationship had ended amicably. His legal team presented manufactured evidence, printed emails allegedly from Maria discussing plans to leave, bank transfer records showing payments he claimed were for her departure, even a forged letter supposedly written by Maria explaining her choice to go back to Manila. Prosecutors tore apart these fabrications during cross-examination, but Khalid never wavered. His demeanor in court was chilling, calm, composed, showing no emotion when Maria's family testified tearfully about their daughter's disappearance. On September 17, 2019, after 3 days of deliberation, the court delivered its judgment. Khalid bin Abdullah al-Rashid was found guilty on all smuggling-related charges. The sentence, 25 years imprisonment, followed by deportation. Additionally, authorities seized his assets, properties, bank accounts, business holdings, valued at over 30 million dirhams. The courtroom erupted with mixed reactions. For the prosecution and law enforcement, it represented a significant victory against organized crime. But for Luz Santos and her daughters sitting in the gallery, the verdict brought hollow satisfaction. Justice for smuggling operations meant nothing when Maria remained missing. No conviction for her disappearance, no answers about what happened that April evening, no closure. Outside the courthouse, Luz addressed waiting media through tears. They put him in prison for his business crimes, but my daughter is still gone. Where is Maria? Where is my grandchild? This is not justice for my family. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below. If you made it to this point, drop a comment with "I'm still here." Let's see who is still watching. If you're enjoying this content, like, subscribe, and share it with your loved ones to protect them from the same tragedy happening to them in the future. Perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of Maria's disappearance is the life that never had a chance to begin. She was nearly 4 months pregnant when she vanished, far enough along that she'd started feeling the first flutters of movement, had already picked out potential names, dreamed about holding her baby. Her family grieves not just for Maria, but for the grandchild, niece, nephew they'll never meet. Luz Santos keeps a small photo album in Manila, empty pages she'd prepared for ultrasound pictures and baby photos that will never exist. The double loss compounds their anguish. Somewhere, possibly in the Arabian desert's endless expanse, lie the remains of both mother and unborn child, denied even the dignity of a proper burial. Rosa carries a burden that therapy and time haven't fully lifted. She replays that evening endlessly, watching Maria walk out in the yellow sundress, seeing the black Range Rover pull away, that gut instinct screaming danger. Why didn't she physically stop her roommate? Why didn't she insist on going along? Why didn't she call police immediately instead of waiting hours? Rationally, she knows Maria made her own choice, that intervening might not have changed the outcome. But guilt doesn't operate on logic. Rosa left Dubai in 2020, unable to stay in the apartment she'd shared with Maria, haunted by memories. She now lives in Manila, where she continues advocating for Maria's case, regularly contacting Dubai authorities for updates, organizing annual remembrance events, and speaking to Filipino workers about recognizing danger signs in relationships. Maria Santos's case file remains officially open in Dubai police records. Detective Al-Mansouri, now promoted but still haunted by this investigation, checks it periodically. Over the years, occasional tips have trickled in. Someone claiming to have seen a woman matching Maria's description in Abu Dhabi, anonymous calls suggesting burial locations in remote desert areas, even conspiracy theories about trafficking networks. Each lead has been investigated. Each has led nowhere. The grim reality acknowledged privately among investigators. Maria's remains are likely somewhere in the vast desert surrounding Jebel Ali, buried in unmarked sand that shifts with every wind, or they were disposed of at sea, where the Persian Gulf's currents carried evidence beyond recovery. Without her body, without witnesses willing to break their silence, the case remains unsolvable. What actually happened after Maria climbed into that Range Rover at 6:47 p.m.? The most probable scenario: Khalid orchestrated her elimination, possibly not present himself, but coordinating through his criminal associates. The vehicle drove to the Jebel Ali area where his warehouses operated, isolated, industrial, perfect for disposing of evidence. Did they attempt to reason with her first? Offer money to leave quietly? Or was the decision already made before she even entered that vehicle? His associates, men experienced in moving illegal cargo, skilled at avoiding detection, would have known how to make someone disappear permanently. The phone destruction, the careful timing, the convenient camera malfunctions all suggest premeditation. But proving any of this without physical evidence or testimony remains impossible. What do you think happened to Maria Santos that night? Could Khalid's associates know more than they revealed? Should there be stronger protections for overseas workers in vulnerable situations? Maria Santos was more than the circumstances of her disappearance. She was a devoted daughter who video called her mother every week without fail. A loving sister who sent money home for her siblings' education, even when it meant sacrificing her own comfort. A faithful friend who never forgot birthdays, who listened to her roommates' problems after exhausting shifts. A woman who dreamed of building a better future, who believed hard work and faith would be rewarded. Every April 23rd, the Filipino community in Dubai gathers at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Oud Meta for a memorial vigil. Candles flicker in the evening darkness. Prayers rise in Tagalog and English. Her family continues fighting. Luz Santos, now in her 60s, still contacts authorities regularly, still hopes for answers before she passes. Maria's story illuminates painful truths about vulnerability far from home. The warning signs were present: secrecy demanded in relationships, unexplained wealth, suspicious activities, isolation from support networks, pressure to stay silent. Overseas workers face unique risks: distance from family, unfamiliar legal systems, cultural barriers, economic desperation that makes leaving difficult. Document your concerns. Tell trusted friends where you're going and when you'll return. Trust your instincts when something feels wrong. Community vigilance matters. Rosa's immediate action filing that missing person report ensured Maria's case received attention, even if it couldn't bring her back. Maria Santos deserves justice. Her story deserves to be told. And somewhere, someone knows the truth. If you have any information about Maria Santos's disappearance, contact Dubai Police. Subscribe to True Crime Journal HQ for more stories that demand justice. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and please share Maria's story. Someone, somewhere, might hold the key to bringing her home. Before you go, if you want to learn how to protect yourself from potential danger, then don't forget to download your free ebook titled Safety for Women Over 40, Everyday Habits to Outsmart Criminals by clicking the link in the pinned comment.